right. And we are live. We're going to give it a few seconds. And Andrew, if you look up in the corner, there's a little eye there that'll show you how many people have their eye on us right now. I think the weird thing about going live is it's sort of like, when do we do the introduction? When does that happen?
Normally, if you and I were just doing like a talk radio show, right now we would be doing an advertisement, and then we could just banter, and people would kind of zip in and out. But it would also seamlessly integrate into some other format. We're pioneers, Lou. That's what we are.
We are. We have 3 people checking in on us right now. We got 1 thumbs up already. This is we're off to a great start. One thing that we should have done, I think it might be good if you put in headphones. I'm getting a little bit of echo there, but I could hold it down.
Very well for myself. I own headphones. Let me get those for you. One second.
There we go. Well, now it's going to be a challenge if you have to untangle them, because we only have an hour with you, and I don't know if you're going to be able to untangle them in time. Whoa, hold on a second. This man is a magician. Look at that.
I like that you've actually got a setup, Lou. Like, because I've been vagabonding the last year, every time I record anything, which is multiple times a week because of my podcast, every single time I have to unpack everything, reset it up, recombobulate it. And now that I've actually got an apartment, I'm very excited to have a desk. And yes. I got one of those. I got a Shure mic, or maybe it's a Rode mic. I think it's a Shure mic. Yeah, it's a Shure SM7B, and I've got like an mic holder, like an arm mic holder, like you got, so that I won't have to set it up every time, which would be great.
I think that's great. Are you going to do the standing desk thing, or?
I don't. You know what? A lot of the time I end up having a standing desk that I'll kind of use. I don't know that. I don't think I'll do it for recording purposes. I'm not that virile. I'd like the option to lean back while recording, but like if I'm reading, like if I'm doing research, I kind of like doing that.
I love the idea of virile now, meaning I'm able to stand in place for a very long time. Ladies, if you're looking to reproduce, I'm a man that can stand in place.
Maybe I'm just using the standards of 80-year-olds of like, God, that guy's, have you seen him stand? He stands for hours. Whoa,
he's got that Centrum silver just coursing through his veins. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much. My name is Lou Perez, and this is my monthly Ask Me Anything. And for the first time, I'm actually joined by a guest for one of these things. And the reason why is a lot of you out there have been saying, hey, have you ever heard of Andrew Heaton, or have you checked out Andrew's work, or you guys should work together? And it turns out that for a few years now, Andrew and I have been friends. I'm a fan of his work, and I thought, this would be a perfect opportunity to get Andrew into the studio. I guess this is kind of, or studio apartment, wherever you are.
Sure.
And let him take part. I've been having a blast doing this. And right before we started, one of the things that's been giving me a lot of trouble is the fact that this is actually my head to scale compared to Andrew's body. So my head, I'm like one of those Easter
hanging out with Lou.
Easter Island people. Yeah. So Andrew, we met in New York City some years back, and you've kind of been all over the place. And where are you now, and how did you get there?
Thank you, Lou. Lou, and it's nice to hang out with you again. And might I confirm, we are in fact friends. For anybody that's wondered about that on your AMA, we've known each other for several years. So I'm in Tulsa right now. Which is lovely, but not what I thought I was going to be doing this time, last year anyway. So we met when I was in New York. In fact, you were at the time bi-coastal. You were kind of zipping back and forth between LA and New York, as I recall. And but I think you had family in New York, and I was situated there. And then I just kind of got tired of it. I love New York. There's wonderful things about New York, but there's enough frenetic energy. Plus, like, New York also doesn't have everywhere else I've ever lived, you could kind of scale your income up. You're like, I'm making $20,000 more per year. I could get 100 extra square feet. And I found that New York, you're either like in finance making $1 million, or you have bunk beds. Like there's no intermediate state. So like it's kind of a crunch if you're a dude in your 30s because you're like less enthused about staying in a bunk bed. So I've been in Texas for a couple of years, working on projects down there. And then January of last year, I moved to Los Angeles for the networking, Lou. For the networking, I moved to Los Angeles, which I thought would be
talk, ladies and gentlemen. Networking is showbiz talk.
Well, and on top of that, the problem was it turns out that 2020 was not a good year for in-person networking, particularly in a very expensive city such as Los Angeles. And so I was out there about 6 months and went, this is dumb. I'm paying the highest rent of my life to live in a box by myself, and everything I'm doing is remote. So I ended up getting out of the lease. I bought a 13-foot camper from an 86-year-old guy named Dave, who sold it to me because he just got married. It's not big enough for him and the wife to travel around in. And so I was living out of that for about 5 months.
Dave was really good at standing up in place. Yeah. He was very virile.
Dave is for sure. Very virile fella there, Dave. So I was doing that for a while, and then I got a grant to come live here in Tulsa. So they're giving me a grant to contribute to the creative scene and the cosmopolitan nature of the city, and have just moved in the last few days.
That's really cool. And I'd never heard of a grant like this before. Is it possible for anybody listening to apply for the grant? Is it on rolling submissions, or is it
go for it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I applied I think I applied about 6 months ago. Like I applied on a lark when I left Los Angeles because I was like, I don't know where else to go. Everything's closed. Like I might as well go to a low cost of living, and got approved for it. And they were like, yeah, you're approved. Just let us know when you move to Tulsa, and then we'll put you through orientation, which I did today. So like today was the first day of the program in effect. But yeah, I think it's rolling, or maybe you get approved and they send you to the next one. But it's definitely there. There are other programs that are beginning to play with that, play with the same thing. Like I know West Virginia has one. I think there's a comparable program in maybe Iceland or something like that. Except in Iceland, they're trying to stir up the gene pool. Like they're explicitly just trying to get people in to make sure that there's not too many Icelandic people.
I went to Iceland for my honeymoon. So my wife and I, we honeymooned for 2 weeks. The first week we were in France, and then the second week we were in Iceland. Mm-hmm. And I had such an amazing time in Iceland. I absolutely love it. Can't wait to go back. And when I was back in New York, I was at a restaurant eating by myself, and next to me were two strangers. I never met them before, and they were having a conversation about Iceland. And what I noticed is everything coming out of their mouth about Iceland is the exact same thing I would say about it. It's almost like there are no original experiences of Iceland. It's like it's already like kind of an alien world, and you experience it. Everybody has the same experience and tells the same story. I imagine like DMT might be might be like that. So Andrew, let's see. We're getting some questions from those in attendance right now, and I'm going to start off with this one. Bobcat, he has to say, Lou looks worried reading the chat. You're damn right, Bobcat, because I'm wondering what you animals are going to come up with. Let's see.
But at the same time, I always feel very reassured because now I have an alibi. I'm not planning to murder anybody, but let's say I murder somebody. It's going to be easier for me to Your Honor, how could I have possibly murdered someone? Look at the timestamp. I was talking to my friend Lou about Iceland at 7:10 p.m. Central. How could I have possibly arranged a series of pulleys to drop a bucket of lead on a man 2 feet from my building at that time? Wouldn't have been possible.
Are there any enemies? And maybe they're in the chat right now.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Let's see. By
the way, Iceland, I am planning to go back there. I had a great time. So I got invited to speak to do comedy for a student group out there. And as a result, so that they wouldn't give me, they wouldn't pay me, but they did pay for the lodging and they paid for the flight. And they just, I had a posse for the week I was out there. I just had a group of Icelandic students who took it upon themselves to just make me love Iceland, which I do. And so while I was there 2 years ago, I announced my candidacy. I am running for mayor of Iceland. And I'm aware that Iceland is a country and not a city. But the thing is, I don't know how to spell Reykjavik. very confusing. Don't know how to spell it. Don't intend to learn how to spell it. Nor do I plan to learn Icelandic. So I'm going to go over there and like just do a big fun campaign next time I can and see if I can't maybe get like some kind of. My hope is that I'll almost screw up the big election, and they'll be like, listen. People are writing in your name. You're gonna fuck stuff up, but we'll give you like a tiny mayorship in some town nobody's ever heard of. And I'll be like, deal, take it.
Nice. I was really surprised with just how expensive it was. It was like way more expensive than it was in France. And I think I remember we picked up. I guess technically they were hitchhikers. They were girls, hitching a ride. There's sort of like one road in Iceland, in Reykjavik. And we picked them up and we asked them, hey, like, where's like the good, like, like a good, cheap local spot? And apparently there aren't any. There are no cheap local spots. Everything costs an arm and a leg. Let's see. So first question we got for Andrew is, what happened to Weekly Mostly?
So Mostly Weekly was a blast. I had a ton of fun making that. And basically, it just ran its course, and then kind of the people involved sort of floated away. So Mostly Weekly ended right about the time I left New York, and Sarah Siskind, who's my writing partner, is now out in California. And it just kind of became too difficult for us to keep it going. But it was tons of fun. I really enjoyed it. We've thought about doing something like that again in the future, of doing sort of a funny policy show. We've also, to kind of jump ahead to Ryan's comment on any plans for script material. I finally convinced Reason to buy puppets. It's been a few years. I've been working on it, but they now have a puppet arsenal, and so we're thinking about doing some regular puppet stuff and maybe making a new series that involves puppets for adults, of course. And so there's some stuff there, and then there's other projects I'm working on that aren't necessarily with Reason that would be scripted.
Nice. And with the puppets, did you get to design them, or was it sort of like stock puppets?
I think we just went on Amazon and got them. I don't think it was too crazy, but they came with a lot of costumes, so we can customize them. And I maintain that puppets are inherently funny because they look like people, but they are not people. And so as a result, our brains go, "That's funny. I'm not sure what to do with this discrepancy. I'll laugh."
There's a bunch of great videos on YouTube of what's his name on the Johnny on Late Night with Johnny Carson, with Jim Henson. So he's on with Johnny Carson, and he's doing a number of the characters that he does. He's voicing a number of the puppets, and Johnny Carson pointed out something that's just true is it's not like Jim Henson is a ventriloquist, right? You can see Jim Henson's mouth moving, but yet all your attention is on the puppet. It feels as though you are actually listening to two grown men speak to puppets. So that's
Can I kick a question to Bobcat here? He says Heaton is funny for sure. He's quick while Lou is fast. I'm fascinated by me, and so I really like it when people talk about me. Bobcat, can you elaborate? What does that mean? What's the difference between fast and quick in this context? And yes, they were sex dolls.
And you actually you asked a question, and we're gonna have to wait for it because it involves typing. So Bobcat, if you have a response to that, please hit us up in the comment section over there. And of course, Bobcat wants to know: are you sure they weren't sex dolls? Yeah. What is the?
I mean, I keep asking Reason for sex dolls, but that they're
what's the line?
Fighting me on that too.
Yeah, it's a budget thing between it's just a budget thing.
Amazon puppets are like $40, but like the sex dolls I wanted to order were like $4,000, and so it's we're working on it eventually.
I mean, if we're being real, I mean any puppet or anything you could fit over your hand can easily be a sex doll. I mean, we could easily make that happen. Let's see.
And I gotta say, I feel like Reason could really tap an audience on Pornhub. I don't know what the overall political pie chart is for Pornhub, but I bet you they're very libertine. I bet that they don't tend to be super judgy people. So I don't know. Maybe put up some kind of show on there.
Well, I remember there some years back there was a video that Reason put together. I don't know if it was about. I think it had something to do with making guns, and it wasn't allowed on YouTube. So Reason put it on Pornhub. Pornhub actually ran it. I haven't watched many gun videos on Pornhub. I'm sure that there's a some kind of gun fetish there, some gun play, if you will.
I'd be amazed if there wasn't. I'd be absolutely amazed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining the scene. Do you ever watch The Sopranos? Would you watch it? So
I'm aware of it though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little show. Hopefully it'll get out of its cult status. But there's one scene. There's a sex scene where Tony's sister is having sex. She's getting taken from behind, and her boyfriend is putting a gun to her head. So that's, but it's consensual. So that's good. Now on that, let's get. Is
that his thing or her thing or both?
I think for that to work in a relationship, it's got to be both of your things. I think really, so. Yeah, and there's got to be a lot of checking of the gun beforehand. There's so much trust involved in that for sure. Andy asks,
I wouldn't feel comfortable in either of those scenarios. If it's like, hey, do you want this? I'd be like, I don't particularly want you to point a gun at my head while we're doing this. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but can you do it to me? I'd be like, I also don't feel particularly comfortable pointing a gun at you while we do this. I would rather we not do that. If all they like there's some other things we could play with. Guns don't. I don't know. I have too respect for gun safety, gun safety, and too much respect for orgasms.
I guess if I were, I'm not much of a camper. So if I was camping, then I might, be interested in someone having a gun, just sort of making sure that everything was cool, like on our perimeter. But
I usually sleep with a machete under any mattress I sleep on. I've got 2 or 3 machetes, depending, because I've got the Scamp. I've got my new place here in Tulsa that I've got a cabin, and I don't like keeping a loaded gun around. But you never know when there's going to be a bobcat, not in your case, Mr. Wolfenstein, but a cougar or a bear or something. So I always keep. So I don't know. Maybe I could keep that involved in the bedroom. I can see that being kind of hot. It's like there's a weapon.
I found it very interesting that you were so not into the gunplay, but you I just happen to sleep with a machete, not even a knife, just a machete under, and in 3 different locations.
Off a bear with a switchblade. You need to have a machete, even though you're probably going to die, but you want to get a good blow. Like the goal is to be able to mark the bear enough so that your friends can avenge your death. But if you just shank the bear, then no one's going to know which bear to kill.
My God, I almost feel like, Andrew, you've actually killed some bears, and we need to talk about that. But Andy has Andy, which I believe might be short for Andrew. He has a question. Lou, how's it going in New Jersey versus Brooklyn? Any hot takes? Thank you so much for asking about that, Andy. I think for the past few months that I've been doing these Ask Me Anythings, I've been talking about my move from Brooklyn to New Jersey, to the suburbs in particular. I really like the move. I wish that I was just staying in New Jersey. Right now I'm in Brooklyn because we still have stuff that needs to be moved from our apartment. So it involves me coming back, filling boxes, bringing it there. So kind of going back and forth. And then eventually I'm going to have to organize the last leg of the move, which involves furniture. But yeah, every time I come back to Brooklyn, I'm kind of dreading it. I'm kind of like, ugh, I just want to be out of here and stay out of here. So far, I'm digging the suburbs. I like it. The one downside to it, though, is I don't know if you guys can tell from my voice, but I am so clogged from just allergies. So there's just pollen everywhere. We have a car that it's silver, but now it's full of pollen, just like this iridescent yellow dust that's on it, and it's all in here now, man. It's
tree
all
sperm.
In here.
Tree sperm's getting in your nose. I'm having the same thing. Oklahoma's a big wind funnel. Basically all of the stuff from Canada all the way down gets sucked through Oklahoma, and lots of cedar and lots of ragweed. And the other thing too is I don't think God wanted us to live here. I don't think we were ever supposed to live in Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma and everything, but we have tornadoes, earthquakes, really hot summers, really bad winters, and pollen. Buffalo were supposed to live here, and we've intruded on God's plans. He's trying to murder us, and we're making peace with that. Where did you move to in New Jersey?
Oh, I don't want to tell these animals. There's no way, dude. I don't have a machete that I sleep with under my bed. So
depends on what part of New Jersey. I think New Jersey is I think it's the most unfairly slagged state in the union. It's the Garden State. There's got to be greenery somewhere, right? And like when you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I hate New Jersey. Oh, I went there one time." And I'm like, "Oh, where'd you go?" And they're like, "We flew into this place called Newark before we drove to New York City." And I'm like, "So you're judging the state? Like, don't judge any state based off of the airport. The airports always suck. And the drive from the airport to the city, I've been to like one place my entire life where I would describe that airport ride as like beautiful. Bristol Airport in England, absolutely. The drive from there, beautiful. But other than that, like all airports, like the track from the airport to the town is always industrial wasteland where gangsters bury corpses. That's what, like, so don't judge a state based on that. And I feel there's probably lots of nice places. Edison, New Jersey, I thought was really nice. I like Hoboken. I think Hoboken's a great place.
Oh yeah, I mean, I pronounce it Hoboken, but Hoboken sounds more. It sounds
keep
more
working
legit.
on
that. But I think you nailed something too, just about something that I think everybody's learned through the pandemic, which is what people are finding is that you don't have to be in New York or LA to thrive. And so many people are like, wait a minute. I could move back to my hometown and possibly continue to do the same work that I was doing when I was living in a box in New York City. And I think I'm hoping that it's definitely opening more and more people's eyes to the reality that the world doesn't revolve around LA and New York, and there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. And during the pandemic in particular, that's when my wife and I, thankfully we had a car so we could escape New York and go hiking and go, all places, all these different places in Jersey. We went, for those of you who've never been to Wildwood, New Jersey, or Wildwood Crest, that was such an important trip for us to take during the pandemic because we were able to go to a beach where people were enjoying their life and they weren't, hiding inside, and that was really important. So I think I'm hoping that the move will be a much needed, healthy move on my part, not only physically, but just, emotionally, spiritually, and all that. So
good.
Let's
Congrats. Now that I'm no longer in New York or LA, I encourage all comedians to live in New York and LA because then I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And if we all do it, then we can all keep networking.
Right on. So Joe Green has another question for you. He says, you've spoofed Star Trek, Star Wars, and Game of Thrones. What's the next spoof you're going to do?
There's a few ideas we're toying with. I suspect James Bond's probably coming up because there's, I think, another Bond film is in the near future. That's going to be barreling towards us. So I think that'll probably happen. We spoofed PBS recently, about 2 months ago. That was really, really fun. And so if you haven't seen that, I'd check that out because it was very funny. James Bond. We've thought about we might do some superhero type stuff. I don't really know that world. I don't know Marvel nearly so well as I know Star Wars and Star Trek. But we might do something like that. And we've got a file of other things. We've also, I don't know, we've kicked around a lot of weird ideas. I wrote a sitcom pilot. I don't think that we'll end up doing it because I don't know that Reason will end up wanting to do a sitcom, but who knows? They give us a lot of room, and there could be some fun stuff.
Nice. And I wonder what's going to happen. Do you think with the new James Bond, is it going to be Daniel Craig, or are they going to recast the roles? Are they going to make a big move on the casting front? Because I remember they were talking about Idris Elba playing James Bond, and I thought that was awesome. I'm a huge Idris Elba fan, and you talk about a guy equipped to play James Bond. I think Idris Elba holds the land speed record for a. He was racing. I don't know if he was racing cars, but he was trying to break a record, and and apparently he did it in the desert. I mean, it's pretty wow. Badass. Yeah.
Wait, who's Idris Elba?
Idris Elba. Did you ever see The Wire? Did you ever see The Wire? He played Stringer Bell on The Wire. Did you ever see Luther? It's a cop series from England.
Nope.
Then just take my word for it, dude.
Sounds
take
like
my word. Guy. What's that?
He sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. And recently there was some real silly controversy where Idris Elba he's black. He's a black Englishman, and he plays a detective in England named Luther. And apparently somebody, I think, having to do with the BBC. I don't know if it was like a diversity and inclusion officer or something like that, said that Idris Elba is the character of Luther isn't black enough. Like he doesn't eat like West Indian food, and he doesn't have enough black friends. Ergo, Luther is not black enough. And I made the joke that, I mean, they're basically saying like for Luther to be black enough, he's going to have to be shot by a cop. Like, I mean, there's really no other way to do it. But you know that. Hey, I'm not writing for the show. I'm up for it. You know, I'm up to write for that show. I could make Luther blacker if that's what the BBC wants. So I am here for it. We have the answer, Bobcat, the follow-up to the question. He said, you're both smart and witty. It's just a difference of delivery or contemplation and reaction, maybe. Hard to define in text, I guess. Let's see. Heaton is like Craig Ferguson in the improv. Whoa.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. He did say he spent time in Texas, and Bobcat says that Heaton, you got to show Lou Texas. I'm down for that.
Heck, and also, Texas is fun. Somebody was stepping on Austin earlier. Austin's great. Austin's a really fun town. Austin's worth visiting. I would live there. It's just so hot. Like all of my genes belong in a bog north of Moscow. Like if Congress could pass a law affecting the universe saying we never experience 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 30% humidity, either one of those ever again, I would like, yes, 1,000%. So Austin's too hot for me, but it's a great town. Really, really fun place.
Yeah. And Carlos over here, he says, make Texas Texas again. And for those of you wondering, Carlos is actually one of my sponsors. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see promo code Lou that could be used at palomaverdecbd.com. And if you use that promo code, you get 25% off purchases over $75. So Carlos, thank you so much for your sponsorship and for checking in to make sure that I plugged the shit out of Paloma Verde CBD. Let's see what we're gonna see what other questions we got here. We got some love right now. He's got Lou and Charlton Heston joining forces. Unite the militia. We were almost there. Lou and Heaton almost joining forces, but Lou and Heston just went and did it anyway.
I think I kind of wish my name was Heston. That sounds slightly better.
Good name.
Heaton. It's got like, it's just Heston's got a little bit more oomph to it. Heaton sounds like Heaton, whereas Heston, you're like walking up a hill.
I don't know. Well, I wonder if I think Heaton as a first name is pretty cool too, And now we could do that, Anybody out there looking for a strong boy name, I think Heaton or Heston. Actually, oh my God, I'm really liking that.
You should all name your children after me. All of you should be doing that.
I have another boy on the way, so and we're looking for names. We have it locked down. We have a name that we think is going to work, but now you're making me think, man.
Plus, think about this: if you named your kid Heaton, and like 10 years from now, you're like, "Can you contribute to the college fund?" I'd have to. I'd absolutely have to. I'm like, you named your kid after me. I'm basically a godparent. Like, it's a smart move. Pick your wealthiest friend and name it after them.
Although you should have a clause in whatever that contract is that it's like you don't like that's all you have to do for this kid. You don't have to go to any birthday parties. You don't have to.
I like that. Yeah.
It's like no, one and done. We're out of here.
No, what I'll do is I'll commit to a bunch of stuff up front. But if it's too much for me, I will change my name. Then I'll get out of it. Then it doesn't matter anymore. Like if I change my name to Pete, then I'm not accountable.
We have a question from David Aria. When you do comedy shows in NYC in the future, will you be staying in hotels or crashing on people's couches or Airbnb? I think, Andrew, it's probably more of a question for yourself. I'm going to be pretty close to New York, even though I moved away. What do you think is the best way to deal with New York when you're doing a show?
Currently, I'm dating a nice young lady in New York, so I'm hoping that she'll keep letting me stay with her when I'm in New York. If for some reason that were not the case, I've got a couple of friends now that have, if not a guest room, a pantry with an inflatable mattress that I'm inclined to stay at. I'm right on the line. I don't want to do a couch anymore. I'm too old and haggard at this point in my life to enjoy sleeping on a couch, and it just doesn't pan well. So I think I stayed at an Airbnb a couple times ago. But one of my friends then got like a kind of a guest room kind of scenario, and I've got the run of that. But yeah, so guest room, fine. Preference, because it's very expensive to get lodging in New York City, right? After guest room, Airbnb. I'd rather do Airbnb than sleeping on a futon or somebody's. I don't know. I need a little bit of privacy, and I also have to work. Like I've got to record stuff, and so if it's just me like sleeping on somebody's couch, plus like, I don't know what the general age ranges of people listening, but like when you hit 30, you just don't want to sleep at somebody else's place. Like I would rather. I would rather drive 2 hours to get back to my bed than sleep on somebody's couch or in their guest room. Now, if I'm in Dallas and somebody's like, yeah, just stay here. I'm like, nah, I'll drive 3 hours to go sleep in my bed. I don't want to wake up in a weird place. But now that I got a camper, I don't have to. I just lug it behind me. Like I was in Dallas here a week ago, and I just parked my camper in front of somebody's house, and they were going to let me sleep in the guest room, and I was like, why? My bedroom's right here with all my stuff in it.
Yeah, what's it like? Trotting around the country in a camper. Are there a lot of are places hospitable to people in campers, or do you have to like park like all the way outside of town?
They're generally fine. So I spent about a month in Oakland because I was collaborating with a friend out there just before the election, and once you live in a van or a camper, you see them everywhere, and it's become quite the phenomenon the last few years. With vans, keep your eyes peeled for a van that either has like aluminum in the windows or alternately the top popped. That's somebody living in there or sleeping in there, as opposed to a utility van. In Oakland, you're fine pretty much anywhere. It's just that you can't park in designated no parking areas. But in the same way that you can have tents and things, like they're fairly blasé about campers and vans. There are a few regulations where they won't let you do it. There's a Lake Merritt in Oakland. You can't do it right around the lake, but I think they kind of eased back restrictions during the pandemic too. But for the most part, it's fine. The bigger issue is if you're right in the center of town, it's very noisy because there's no sound insulation, and then like depending on where you're at, you got to worry about crime and things like that too. Like there's not a lot of there's not a lot of heft to a door on a camper. So if somebody actually wanted to break in and get anything, they could. Now, granted, as previously mentioned, I've got that machete.
You got the machete.
So I've got a little bit of stuff.
If you want to get your ass cut, then break in.
Try and come get my laptop. It's fairly it's fairly easy in that regard. And there's lots of places to camp, which is really my preference. Because now what I found is that when I'm driving around in the camper, the way to do it is basically just to identify somebody where you want to go and ask if you can park in their driveway or in front of their house. That way you're able to use their amenities and things like that. You basically have a modular bedroom. If you're not doing that, go to a national forest, which is my favorite. U.S. forest land, unless they tell you otherwise, you can park or you can camp for free there pretty much indefinitely, like at least for 2 weeks at a time. You just don't be on the road itself. But if you pull off, you're fine. So like I just went to Ozark National Forest for a week to work on a book. Just hung out there and drank a lot of coffee and worked by myself. It was great.
Nice. I once I did a comedy tour back in 2016, and we were all in. It was more of like I guess like an RV than a camper. And the one rule of the RV was you could piss, but you can't take a dump in it. Now is that a rule in the Heaton camper?
There are no rules in the Heaton camper. I've got a cachette toilet, so I've got like a little portable toilet when I want to use it. I prefer not to, just for ease of maintenance and that kind of thing. But it's there, so I'm fine. If for some reason I'm in a CVS parking lot and I need to go, I can.
See, now I would the kind of guy I would have one of those toilets under every bed in addition to a machete under a bed. Because
you should do that at your new place, just so you're always like,
I'm ready to cut someone or to take a dump. Like it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, doesn't matter. Heading back to the questions, we got Okie Native says, "Isn't spoofing James Bond just Austin Powers?" I think that's a reasonable question to ask, and I think obviously Austin Powers really nailed the parody of that genre, but it leaves. But obviously 007 has changed over the years so much, and I think it's the burden is on the comedian to find a fresh angle to take it on. So even just looking at something like the HBO show Barry, where it's a dark comedy about a hitman, and it's taken the genre of a hitman movie and turned it into, a really funny, dark show. But what do you think about that, Andrew?
100%. I'm with you. I think there's some fields that have been overly mined. So, for example, it gets hard. Like I do a Christmas special every year. That's getting harder every year because Christmas has been so done for comedy purposes. But even then, I'm still able to do it. We've been making fun of it for a long time.
Right. I think you just froze for a little bit, Andrew.
I think you could say the same thing about, say, Star Wars. Spaceballs was a parody of Star Wars, but I think.
Right on. And speaking of Spaceballs, Mel Brooks, he happens to be one of my heroes, and I think that leads into this question from Mike Wee. Says, "Hey Lou, what do you think of the Jews?" Hey, all right. So on that question, one thing that I notice is that it's the year 2021, and occasionally I'll put something out there and I'll get a comment like someone calling me a Jew, or, "Oh, look at this Sephardic Jew over here." And what takes me aback is it's like they're using it as a put down, and I don't take it as a put down. I take it as a compliment. I'm like, all right, cool. So many people that I love are Jewish. So many of my heroes are Jewish. Hey, and I'm actually thinking, like, if I was to do a 23andMe, I think I might have some Jewish blood in me. That's what I'm thinking. Now, Andrew, that question was directed at me. You can chime in, or you could let this one go. Just let me know whatever you feel more comfortable with.
I don't understand why the question was asked, and so I'm going to steer clear of it and say I like everybody and have no strong thoughts on any particular race.
All right, let's see. Oh, we got a question from Andrew Scott saying, "Andrew, have you joined the Council of Andrews A2 in our quest for global domination?"
I filled out an application, and I'm waiting to hear back on that. But I still have to get it notarized and stuff. And it's a lengthy process. I mean, it's a big deal to get into the A2 Council.
My God, I have no shot of getting in there. Let's see. Well, you know what? Just something to bring up. I've been noticing a lot of people in my life are named Andrew, and even my son, his name is Andreas. Which is kind of like Andrew.
It's the same root. And Andrew, it's closer because the root of Andrew's Andreas or Andrea, which is Greek for manly, and so it's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing. I know it's weird for me because I'm like a bearded Jimmy Stewart, but all the same though, like your son and I have the same name. He just Andreas is a different what do you call it? Different expression of it in a different language as opposed to English.
Nice. I just watched This Wonderful Life? A Wonderful Life? What is it? Which one is it?
Oh yeah. It's a Wonderful Life. That's the main Jimmy Stewart. Oh, Clarence, no man with friends is a failure.
So it was I just watched it. It was well over a year ago. I'd never seen it before, and we went to a screening at the IFC Theater in Manhattan. And before the screening, we were told that the main actor, the lead actress, her daughter was in attendance, and everyone was excited about that. I had never seen the movie before, and the daughter comes out and says, "Thank you so much for coming out. It's so great that I'm able to do this every year. This is such an important film for my mother and an important film in my life." And she says, "How many people here have seen the movie before?" And hands shot up, right? And then she asked, "How many people here are seeing this for the first time?" And a good amount of people, like I would say even close to half the people in attendance had never seen the movie before, right? And she was excited about that. And then they went into Q&A. They decided to do Q&A before the movie started. And one of the things that she says is, in the scene where the dance floor opens up and everyone falls into the pool, that was blah, 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 blah. She gave that away before we even got to see it. That may have, tainted my experience of watching it. But at the end of it, I was like, I don't like this movie. I might be the only person in the world. I don't like that movie. So
One of my favorite moments ever to introduce a film was when The Passion of the Christ came out. I was like a freshman or a sophomore. I think it was a freshman at college. My buddy McGee and I went to go see it. And just as the lights are dimming, he goes, "What's this about?" It was just the timing was perfect. The volume was perfect. I was so greatly impressed by it.
Oh my God, that's great. That I would have enjoyed that. I would have enjoyed if, even if the daughter of the actress had said, "What is this about?" Let's see.
By the way, I want to give a shout out to Zach Stuckey, who I know. Zach and I have corresponded. It's nice to see him. Hello, Zach.
Is this Zach Stuckey right there?
That's him, yeah.
Zach writes, "I'm used to listening to you at 1.4 times. I guess that's the speed. You sound drunk when you're asked down."
Somebody needs to speed up 1.4 times on their end because they might be a bit drunk as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Also, I might be drunk. You don't know. I remain very articulate when I'm drinking, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. I think if you are hiding it, you are hiding it very well. Let's see.
My problem is I'm very articulate. I'm still very clever and nice, but my short-term memory shot to hell. So when I get drunk, it's like having a conversation with a very charming Alzheimer's patient, because I can have just a great time with you and everything. Like one time I was at the Friars Club and we were all I'll add to this. I just had a back injection for a chronic pain condition, which apparently you shouldn't drink on, although the doctor said it was fine. And I had this big old deal of scotch, and I did this whole story and then took a sip and went, "Which reminds me," and then told the whole story again, beat for beat, completely unaware. And everyone around me was like, "Did we just fucking time quake? Like, what the fuck's happening?" So that's how I am.
Oh my God. I ate at the Friars Club once. And I was really, I felt really like I knew I was in an important place, but a big part of it was they wouldn't let you in if you didn't have a jacket. So they have a bunch of suit jackets just sort of waiting, I guess in the coat room, and they give you it and you go and you sit down. And I ate one of the worst hamburgers I think of my life. But it was worth it. I mean, I was at this incredible place. Well, have you done anything with the Friars Club since then?
Not recently. I was a member for a year. I got in the last year I was in New York. So, or I guess I am a member, but I'm a non-dues paying member. I'm a lapsed member. I'm an apostate. So I went and did it for a year. It was fun. I think like my buddy Turner Sparks, who you might know from New York stand-up, he's now at the Friars Club, and he's doing a very good job, I think, of making it kind of relevant again to comedians. When I was there, the Friars Club has this great reputation of being like the comedian club. By the time I showed up in 2017 or whenever that was, it's more like a lot of very wealthy 80-year-old dentists who like the idea of comedy. So it didn't quite have that same gravitas it used to, but I think they're working on that now, and hopefully, I know they're building a podcasting room in it. So next time I'm up there, maybe I'll do that.
Well, if they're looking for someone who isn't 80 and who does comedy, they can find me. I'm really just in love with the idea of you sounding like a charming Alzheimer's patient, because man, did you just raise the bar so high for just a run-of-the-mill Alzheimer's patient, where it's like, oh man, he's got dementia, but he's really not charming. He's no charisma.
Anecdotes.
No charisma whatsoever.
One of my friends, that happened. Her grandfather had that. I don't know if he had Alzheimer's or if it was just dementia in general, but he was this really nice guy, and he would they'd all be talking, and somebody would bring up somebody died on Mount Everest, and he'd nod and he'd go, I'm going to have to check my notes. I'm not sure about this, but I think I climbed Mount Everest. And then everyone's like, that's amazing. And it would turn out, no, he didn't. But
I think old people can get away with lying for sure.
Yeah, because he prefaced it was like, I'm not entirely sure. It was like a great, wow, cool. And then it's like, all right, whatever. We gave it to him when he got to enjoy it at the moment. So good.
I would definitely exploit that. And I'd be like, I don't remember clearly or not, but you're an asshole. and just go with that. Let's see. Bobcat, I think, has a good question. How far is too far to drive for a show? Now on that, it's I I would have to ask, are you performing or are you going to see a show? Because I mean, you hear stories of people who are really big fans, driving, all crazy distances to go see bands that they love. Actually, on Friday, it was April 30th, I drove up to New Hampshire, Rollinsford, New Hampshire for a gig. So it was me and two of my comedian buddies, Harry Turjanian and Boris Heaton, who you guys could see in a number of videos that I made. And so we drove, I think it was something that was almost like probably altogether like 6 hours up there to go perform. And then, we slept at a Days Inn, which I would much prefer, I think, crashing on someone's couch. But we slept at a Days Inn and then we drove back.
Wait, so you're in the couch category. You would prefer to do the couch.
I think over a Days Inn with two other comedians. So me and Boris,
you're sharing the room? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Me and Boris took a bed. Harry took the other bed. It was a tight spot. It was a tight squeeze. They didn't have room for an extra cot, let alone any extra cots. But I mean, getting to drive that far, I think would have really sucked if I was alone. But having two hilarious, intelligent, longtime friends, I mean, it was awesome, and we're looking forward to doing more of that stuff if we can. What do you think, Andrew? How far is too far to drive?
It depends. I mean, because I'm in the middle of the country, I don't have that many driving gigs I can do now, right? So I've got I did some stuff down in Dallas here a couple of years ago, but my aforementioned friend Turner has very cleverly hit up country clubs and just convinced them to hire him because there's less competition, right? So I'll drive 2 to 3 hours for a gig. After that, it just becomes a cost or fun equation. So if somebody wants me to to take a weekend, sometimes I get invited to do a think tank event or some kind of nefarious political action committee. And if they're going to I have to explain it, usually they get it, where they're like, you're only talking for 20 minutes. And I'm like, right, but I have to fly to where you're going and I have to stay there for a day and fly. It ends up being, in terms of just time loss, you're asking me to commit to basically 2 full days for however long I'm speaking. And so that's what you're compensating me for, is the amount of time that I'm taking away from other stuff. So what I basically do is just have a price tag and be like, hey, this is kind of my standard. And if you don't want to hit this, you need to explain to me why it's an amazing event. So when I went to Iceland, they didn't pay me, but they were like, we can't pay you. We don't have an honorarium, but we can fly you out. We'll take care of that. And we'll put you up. And I was like, done. That's a free vacation to Iceland. That sounds great. Let's do it. Yeah.
And for those of you out there, if a group can pay to fly you out to Iceland and put you up, they could probably pay you an honorarium.
Also true.
I think it's 100% they can actually pay you an honorarium as well. Let's see. Okie Native asks, is Andrew going to make camper life travel vlogs for the YouTube channel? I'm told it's a profitable niche market. And to that, I would say, regardless of it being profitable, Andrew, I think you have a real talent of, for one, getting into really interesting life happenings. You make interesting things happen, and then you have a great way of telling those stories. So I think any fan of yours would really be into just getting to see what life on the road or life in a camper is like with you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Lou. I should do that. So, for folks that are unfamiliar with me, the main thing I've been doing the last couple of years is podcasting, which I greatly enjoy and is really, really fun to do. And part of the benefit to podcasting is that it doesn't require a lot of equipment. I've got to have a good mic. I've got to have a good internet connection, but I don't have to worry about makeup, hair. I mean, granted, I look fabulous, clearly, but I don't always look fabulous. And so that was one of the appeals to it. But I really should do more stuff on YouTube. And on top of that, I keep I would love to do more stuff that's not explicitly political. That would be fun for me as a comedian. And so actually that's a really good idea. I absolutely should have done that when I was on the road, doing the camper life. That would have been a great, just a side thing to do. And it would have expanded my reach and everything. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Maybe I'll maybe quarterly or something, I'll do camper life stuff.
Yeah. And I think, you were talking about, doing stuff, outside of, political commentary and that sort of thing. I feel like it's one of those things when you're in it and you're creating stuff, it not only can it be difficult to sort of see outside of that, but also just the reality of how am I going to find the time to do this, to do yet another thing. You were, away in the woods writing a book. I mean, you've written several books, so adding yet another thing onto your plate is, it's a lot. It could be a lot.
Well, and the other thing too, like when you get into comedy, you're not making any money at it when you first start out, right? You're everything you're doing is on spec, and you're doing it because you love it, and you're doing it because it's really fun. And then there comes a point where, like for a lot of people, for most of my career, I had a day job, and then I was doing comedy stuff for fun at night, and I didn't have any income coming in from the comedy stuff, and so everything was a passion of love. And now I'm like, I'm self-employed, and I've been doing it 2 years, doing comedy and doing podcasting. And so I also have to kind of projects which have no clear profitability to them. I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say skeptical of, I just have to weigh them more of, is this a thing worth really investing a lot of time in? Is this something that might turn into something? And actually, I should figure out something for YouTube. I really should, because that's like a whole new venue that I could do. So it's a good idea. Like the camper thing is a really, really good idea. But like a lot of the time, like somebody wanted to work on a spec script with me, and I was like, I don't think that's right. I kind of eased away from it, because I was like, that's a lot of work for something that's a real shot in the dark.
Sure. Let's see. We have a question from David. It's for the both of us. Do you condone when comedians hide behind the "I'm just a comedian" line whenever challenged on a serious topic? I'm torn because comedy is an art form and the expression of humor is the work. So the comedian's true opinion can either differ from their jokes or not. Thoughts?
That's a great question. Question. I kind of see it going one of two ways. I think most of the time, I don't know that many comedians that play that card out of ignorance of, hey, like, don't get mad at me, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I find comedians generally will own it, or they won't be super political. I think where you do see that come in is like, don't be offended, I'm just a comedian. And there, I think that, I do think we're too temperamental right now, and I do think that we're all walking on eggshells. But I don't like Lou, in my experience, I find that pretty much all stand-up comedians, we all develop our own internal code of what we feel is acceptable and not acceptable, and it differs from person to person, but we all have it. So like for me, and I'm much closer to Garrison Keillor than I am to Andrew Dice Clay. So I don't tend to offend a lot of people. But in the rare instances where that happens, what I want to know is, are you offended by the essence of the truth in the joke? Are you offended by the extent to which I took the joke? Are you offended by the proximity of what we're talking to something sacred? And a lot of the time it's the latter two, where it's like the person's offended because I said something that's kind of adjacent to a thing that they take very important. And I'm like, I don't feel that's germane. But if you're like, yes, I think the essence of your joke, the observation you made, was at root a bad thing, then I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. So I don't find that people tend to hide behind it. Plus, I think we've also, like, the comedians have all become pundits. So I don't find that to happen as much anymore. Like, there's so many comedians that are all a quarter pundit, a minimum, that I don't find that many people saying, like, I'm not a comedian, don't worry about what I have to say. And also, I know what I'm fucking talking about. So I never goddamn say that. I've read a shit ton of white papers. I read books all the time. I might be wrong, but I'm not uninformed.
Yeah, I think it depends, because there are sometimes, like, say, take something, for example, like on Twitter, you'll often find legitimate journalists who will use it as a way to promote the articles that they're writing, to take part in conversations or arguments or debate with with other serious people, if you will. And then every now and then they'll toss in some jokes too. So it's sort of, there's this weird blending where it's sort of like serious people also want to be funny, or want people to think that they're funny,
right?
And then you have funny people who also want to be taken seriously. And for me, no matter what I put out, I'm always ready to defend it, or to take constructive criticism on it, and also to talk about the larger implications if it has something to do with politics or culture. It's like, yeah, we could have a conversation, but if we're having a conversation, then we're probably not going to bring up my joke, because the joke is a joke, right? But if you want to get serious, we could have a more serious conversation. And what I've found quite often is I'll put a joke out there, and people will start arguing, about any number of things with the policy or whatnot, and they forget what the original post was. It's like, no, the original post was a setup and a punchline, and now we've taken it very far from where it started.
Yeah. Yes. The amount of vicious infight. Let me rephrase it. The amount of people looking to fight strangers about politics and are willing to grasp any particular thing they can to get into that is staggering. And I avoid it. I'm not. I enjoy a good policy discussion. I enjoy a good political discussion very much. I find that in our current period, people don't know how to argue very well. I did high school debate, and I really enjoyed it, and I understood just intrinsically the thing we're arguing about is not a reflection of who you are as a person. Now, if we're arguing about like capital R racism or something, sure, but if we're like tax rates and things like that, where it's like we're all trying to do something good here, I get that. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think if you disagree with me, it's because you are willfully evil, and right. And their go-to for lack of emotional stability or for lack of rhetorical analysis will, rather than engaging the idea, immediately try to figure out how you're a bad person and disregard you. And so it's a label and dismiss strategy. And I'm really tired of. So I limit the interactions I have with people where they're going to get into that, just because I'm like, I don't want to have a bad faith argument with a stranger. I get nothing out of that. Yeah. Yeah. Recently I tweeted something out that said, I might not be evil. I might just be wrong. Right. That's the the possibility there. Andrew, I know we only have you for a few more minutes, and just guys, I'm going to continue doing the live stream. But before we go, I think this is a really important question, and it comes from Okie Native. And Okie Native asks, would Andrew or Lou be amenable to being paid in cryptocurrency? I'm going to answer that first and say yes. I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum. So if you're interested in paying me that, you can email me, and I'm going to be updating my website. So there's going to be a support page where people can easily pay me in crypto if they so choose. But if you hit me up at info@thelouperez.com, and I think I just put that in the comments. Let's see if that comes up. You guys can pay me, and I will take it. Andrew? Absolutely. I've already done that. Go to mightyheaton.com/crypto. mightyheaton.com/crypto, and you can see all the things I accept. Send it my way. It'll make my evening. Only one person's ever done it. Could you be the second? You could be the second person by sending me some of that cryptocurrency. And I know so little about it, I'll probably sit on it, and then maybe I'll become a millionaire, because I'll look at it and be like, wow, Bitcoin Cash is now worth $1 billion. Well, who knew? So yeah, make it happen. Nice. It's so funny. The show I did in New Hampshire, afterwards, Boris, he wrote a little bit about the show, and he said, last night I did a show for a bunch of libertarians, and a guy who had a pistol strapped to his leg paid me in crypto. And I thought, what a beautiful thing. And I'm so happy I was able to bring my friends there. And I'm so happy that you, Andrew, my friend, were able to join me tonight. Thank you so much. I hope the rest of your night is fun and enjoyable and filled with love and laughter. And thank you for bringing so much of that to me and everybody else. My pleasure. Always good to see you, Lou, and very nice to talk to everybody. Thank you so much for the good questions. Everybody have a fine evening. All right. I'm going. There we go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me and Andrew Heaton. I'm going to stay on for let's maybe we do another 20 minutes or so. If anything more fun happens, we can keep talking. If anything more fun happens, we can keep talking. Let's see. Robert Beckler says, "I live in a camper, baby. This guy's a brother from a different mother." That's cool. Yeah, there's got to be a camper brotherhood, like the same way that like motorcycle guys have that brotherhood going for them. Let's see. Carlos asks, Andrew, when are you and Thad Russell
gonna hook up again. I didn't catch that episode. I would like to see that for sure. For those who aren't familiar, Thaddeus Russell, he's a historian. He has a program called Renegade University, and he wrote a great book called, I believe it's The Renegade's History of the United States, that I highly recommend. Let's see. Bobcat, you write, Lou is a Wyatt Earp. Heaton is like a Doc Holliday. You son of a bitch, man. I want to be Doc Holliday. I want to be able to say to another man, I'm your Huckleberry. Son of a man. Let's see. We got a lot of people excited about crypto. Andrew Ortiz says, Andrew, why do you have a picture of Lou on your wall over your left shoulder? It's branding. That's why. Let's see. Bobcat says, post your crypto wallet payment address. Oh man, I gotta find that. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that, guys. I gotta sign in. Let's see. This is very exciting for all of you as I sign into Coinbase, which apparently now there's a two-step verification. Let's see. Does that happen? Does that work? We are verifying. God, I gotta. I'll get it to you guys at some point, Bobcat. Too many steps for me to sign in to get money. Let's see. Someone with my name might have suggested putting your crypto address into your video and stream information on the last stream. That sounds like a very good idea and something that probably went over my head because I don't know enough about crypto. Let's see. Nikki D said, I had a nice time and subscribed to Andrew. Awesome. Very happy to hear that. Bobcat says, what platform are you trading crypto on? Is that what you call it, trading? I didn't even know that's what I was doing. But I'm on Coinbase. That's what I'm on. And I brought that up to the same guy at the show who gave my boy some crypto, and he laughed about it. I didn't know why he was laughing. I don't know why Coinbase isn't good, but we'll see. What's what? Let's see. I'm checking out my portfolio. My wallet. This is so ridiculous. I'm going. How do I find that? Okay. Well, whatever. Sorry, guys. This isn't that a fun part of the show. I'm going to make sure next time we make it happen. So, Rupin RX asked for the favorite Reason TV skit. I think that was for Andrew there. Greg Burke says, I'm your Huckleberry. Oh, thank you, Greg Burke. For those of you who don't know, Greg Burke, famous Greg Burke of Greg and Lou. He's checking in. Thanks for checking in on me. I sound terrible. My nose is all red. It is so hot right now in this fish tank that I'm in at WeWork. Let's see. Okie Native says, to send you crypto, we will need your address and your 12-word seed phrase. That sounds like a trap. Let's see. Oh, shit. Kevin says, I could see the reflection of your password in the background and stole all your crypto. Oh, shit. This isn't working well for me, guys. I feel like I'm the mark in the most boring caper film where it's like, oh, we're gonna rob this guy, and you do it in like 2 minutes and you get away with it. And yeah. Bobcat says, if you want to run down on how all that shit works, I'd love to help. I'd love to have your help. Thanks, man. Please help me out. T asks, Oh, how much did I miss? Quite a bit. You missed quite a bit. About an hour. We did about an hour with Andrew Heaton. I enjoyed it, but I think there will be a playback feature, especially if you're on YouTube. You'll be able to check it out. So, Bobcat asks, Greg had Wolverine claws. Yeah, that's correct. That's the Greg Burke from the famous Wolverine's Claws Suck, which just celebrated its 12-year anniversary. So 12 years ago, Greg Burke and I, as well as our director, AJ Morales, and our amazing cinematographer and effects guy, Paul Rondeau, put out Wolverine's Claws Suck. We first released it as an exclusive. I think it ran for about a week on crack.com and got something like, I think, over 500,000 views over there. And then we put it on YouTube where it blew up and currently has over 19 million views, which is definitely I think the most successful thing that I've ever put out. And what's really cool is that we still get comments. People are still watching the video, and people are coming back to the video like 10 years later. So we have people coming back and like, oh man, I was 8 years old when I first saw this and it scared the shit out of me. There are a number of other ones where it's like, who's here in 2021? So that's pretty cool. And I on my podcast, the Lou Perez Podcast, which I hope you guys will subscribe to and check out. I had a buddy of mine named Dean Cameron, who is who's an actor and was in some of the most memorable 80s comedies, in particular Summer School. And he and I talked about how long it took him to embrace the legacy of one of his characters that he played in that movie called Chainsaw. The character's name was Chainsaw. And I've come to accept, like, hey man, if the most notable, memorable thing that I produce out of my whole life is the video Wolverine's Claws Suck, I'm okay with that. Not only did I get to do something that a lot of people have seen and a lot of people enjoyed and people come back to and watch, but I also got to do it with friends of mine and people who I love and people I really respect. And I think that video had a lot to do with giving me the energy to keep going in the comedy game, So I'm very happy about that. Greg Burke is asking the question he knows the answer to. Who's the greatest actor you ever worked with? I mean, come on, Greg Burke, of course. Greg Burke, when he's directing, will just Greg Burke often directs me, and his main note is, Lou, just how would I do it? How would Greg Burke do this scene? Now go do it. And I try. Rupin RX says, I was going to have you guys both argue Reason TV versus We the Internet TV favorite skits. Couldn't get my credit card to work for Super Chat. That would have been a fun one to have with Andrew for sure. Bobcat says, I made the mistake of bringing up crypto, so all the spam bots showed up. One of the spam, I got hit up on Facebook by someone pretending to be the dude who invented Ethereum. Part of me was like, hey, maybe the guy who invented Ethereum, maybe he would reach out to a random comedian on Facebook for no reason. So there was a part of me like, oh, I kind of hope he's real. I kind of hope he's Prince Charming. But I haven't heard from him yet. I haven't heard back from him. So let's see. Andrew says, will the term binary trading be the next words to get canceled? Just call it non-binary trading, I guess. Oh, God. Greg Burke asked another question that he already knows the answer to. Who's the greatest baseball player you ever worked with? It's Greg Burke, ladies and gentlemen. It's Greg Burke. When I lived in Los Angeles, I lived there. Greg is still out there. So there was a few years when I was living out there, and Greg was out there as well. And one of the one of the things that I absolutely loved doing was it would be, sort of middle of the day, and I'd meet up with Greg and we'd toss a baseball back and forth. And Greg was preparing to play in a men's league, a men's hardball league. And this is after years of not playing baseball. And he was trying to get back into it to play outfield. So I would be the dude hitting him pop-ups in the outfield. Those are good times. I think the one sad thing, though, is that Greg is going to have to teach my sons how to throw a baseball. And I'm going to have to be the cuck on the sideline, watching Greg teach my kids how to play America's pastime. Let's see. Bobcat Wolfenstein says, Godzilla was fun. Thank you. Woke Godzilla, ladies and gentlemen. Please go check that out on all my platforms. Put a lot of money into that fucking thing. T says the Godzilla skit was fucking gold. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Spent a lot of gold on it for sure. Let's see. Bobcat says, do you get shafted by Spotify? Maybe you're talking about something that happened recently where I noticed that my episodes of my podcast weren't going up at the time that I released them. And I checked in with Libsyn, which is the where I post my stuff, and then they disseminate it to the other platforms. And they let me know that Spotify and Apple were having internal problems. So yeah. So hopefully, they got their shit together, and my stuff is posting when it should be. Okay. Greg Berg said, I couldn't be the men's league weekend baseball player I am today with you, Lou. Thank you. I'm gonna say that is a typo and it's without me. And you're welcome. Thank you. You made me a better actor. I made you a better baseball player. Let's see. Okie Native says, how steampunk is Matt Kibbe's beard in person? It's great, man. It's legit. He, I don't know if it's like nature versus nurture, but Matt Kibbe's beard, it's dope. It's dope. Part of me feels like it's just in his DNA. Like he's just that kind of a guy who could just make it happen. Greg Burke says, I couldn't be the men's league. Okay. Did you just say that again? Did you just repeat the same thing, Greg? With the same typo? God damn it. Oh, he just repeated the same thing, but now there's a T missing. I couldn't be the men's league weekend baseball player I am today without you, Lou. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Okie Native says burglars for gun control. Thank you, man. That's an oldie, but I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that one. Bobcat says regarding Spotify, I meant monetarily. Yeah, no idea how to make money on Spotify. I mean, I remember how many years ago was it when I think it was Peter Frampton was talking about how "Ooh Baby, I Love Your Way" was played like 1 billion times, and I think he got like $1,000. So, I don't know how people, I don't know how artists make money on Spotify. I mean, unless you're somebody like Rogan, where what was it, $100 million or something like that. Craig says, should I try for one more? Nah, no, we got it, Craig. Thank you. I made you a better baseball player. Carlos says that Greg is a little drink. I don't know. I'm not sure. I am so congested right now, and I'm so apologetic for my stupid nose. What's going on here? No clue what's going on. I feel like I just revealed more stuff to you when I changed the page on my computer. Let's see. Bobcat says I'm subscribed anyway. Thank you. Let's see. Okie Native, when are you going to break out the second string pimp suits or the Bumblebee? Either or. Unfortunately, when I stopped working with We the Internet, they own the Bumblebee suit, man. So I don't know what they plan on doing with that thing. But but yeah, I hope they do something sexy with it. That's for sure. I never got a chance to fuck in that thing. Bobcat asked, last question for myself. You still hitting them hills? Oh yeah, have I hit the hills? Well, where I live now, there's some good hills that are kicking my ass. So I've got to get back to hitting them because I'm feeling gross. And maybe if I'm running some hills, it'll at least make me, for the moment, feel like I'm feeling gross because of the workout that I'm doing, and the workout's kicking my ass versus the arboreal bukkake that's happening on my face, which is a term that I stole from Andrew Sullivan. So. Okay, guys, any more questions? We got a couple of questions. Anybody else? Anybody with a question for me? For those of you wondering how you can support me, I would like you to, let me see. I got to edit this. Let's go. All right. All right. So you could support me by going to my locals page, thelouperez.locals.com. You can support me monthly, or you could do a one-time. That would be wonderful. I am going to get my shit together with crypto. Okie Native, please hit me up. Bobcat, hit me up. Teach me the ways of the crypto, the secret martial art. Also, if you guys want to support me, please go support my sponsors, blackbrew.com and palomaverdecbd.com. If you use the promo code Lou, you get savings with Black Brew. You get free shipping, and with Paloma Verde, you get 25% off purchases over $75. So thank you. David Aria says, Lou, you should send this broadcast to Mucinex Casting. You'll definitely get the part. I don't know if that's true, because when it comes time to shoot, my shit isn't going to be unclogged, man. So it's going to be like, ooh, this thing didn't work. So I don't know. Let's see. Steven says, ever thought about funding any larger products on Kickstarter or something like that? Yeah, we definitely thought about that. I guess the question is, what is the perfect project for that? Because, you want to do something that is definitely worth it. Something that has a budget that is, that is at the amount that you need, you won't be able to raise just by, going through your bank account and maxing out your credit cards, So it's like, well, what is that project going to be? But when it comes to announcing projects, for those of you still joining me, last year on December 30th, 2020, I published an article in the Wall Street Journal called "How I Became a Quote Far Right Radical." How I became a far right radical, and I got really good responses to that article, and I'm happy to say that it has led to a book contract. So this week I will be signing a contract where I will be writing and delivering a book with pages in it, hundreds of pages. And so yeah, I'm gonna be writing. I'm gonna be an author, and for those of you who want to follow my journey as I write this book, it's definitely something I'm going to be sharing with my locals community, thelouperez.locals.com, and that might be something where I might have to take off my hat and pass the hat around. It's funny, I said pass the hat around, and yet I'm doing it off camera. Pass the hat around and say, hey, if you want to support the writing of my book, please think about donating, and I will for sure accept crypto. Thank you. Okie Native asks, yes, how funny is it that New York lost a representative because of the census? Pretty funny. I'm actually a little pissed off that I didn't move out of this state before the census was taken, because that would have been 3 people that would not have been counted as well. Let's see. T says, I subscribe to the Lou Perez OnlyFans. It's very good. It's not me. It's not me, dude. Those are not my feet. I know what my feet look like. Those are not my feet. My feet are a lot sexier, not as skanky. Those feet that you've been watching on the Lou Perez OnlyFans, they look like they would do anything for some meth. That's not me. Okay. So I'm going to try to get a cease and desist thing, but until I can raise the money to get a lawyer on that, you know what I'm saying. Okay, a few more. Okie Native says, I'm looking real hard at the Paloma Verde dog products. Nice. All right. Keith, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Keith says, that is excellent. Congratulations, Lou. Thank you. Now I got to write it. I got to write the book. You guys ever written a book before? What do I need to know? Please help me out. Bobcat says, congratulations. Please provide links to the book for purchase. Right on. Once I write it, there will be many links. Okie Native says, sweet action, book contract. Woo, digital sales are where the money for the authors comes in deep. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for your well wishes. I appreciate that. Okie Native says, you wore the toe shoes. We know it's your feet. Look, man, the Lou Perez OnlyFans page, it's not me. I'm coming out and I'm saying that. And just because somebody wears the toe shoes, they weren't even Vibrams. I have Vibrams, okay? The dude or woman with huge, gross feet in those pictures, they don't even have Vibrams, okay? They have some bootleg, cheap-ass fucking foot gloves, okay? And it makes sense because their feet are busted. Their feet are fucking gross, okay? That's why they have the gross, not even Vibram, the gross foot toes, whatever you want to call it. And they look like their feet look like they're injected with meth. Like they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide their usage. I didn't even know you could inject meth, but that's whatever. That's how much those feet aren't mine. I don't even know about the drug culture that would produce feet like that. Okay. Bobcat says, I've genuinely laughed heartily during this. Thank you. I appreciate that. But those feet, not a laughing matter. Okay. Mark Cunningham is excited for this interview. Damn it, Mark. Damn it. Andrew left about 22 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Toxic Bullet 73 says, will it be a difficult book to read? I hope not. I hope you enjoy it. And actually, if you guys want to check out some of my past writing, my previous writing, go to my website, thelouperez.com. And let me put that in there, thelouperez.com. And you could go, if you scroll down to the section called writing, there are links to my piece in the Wall Street Journal, pieces I've written for Spiked Magazine, The Spectator USA, Cato Unbound. It's all there. Let's see. Mark says, damn, we'll have to watch the replay. I hope you do. I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm going to take off, guys. I got to go handle this schnozzle. I want to thank all of you for joining me. I want to do this again for sure, in a month for sure. But this might be something I want to do a little more often. Once again, you could support me by going to thelouperez.locals.com. You can support my sponsors, blackbrew.com and Paloma Verde CBD. And thanks, guys. I'm going to open the door because it is boiling in here.